Hi there, it's Michelle from C&C Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another global monthly video hop. So each month, myself and demonstrators from around the world get together and we do cards and other papercraft projects based on a theme. So this month's theme is Favorite Suite from the new Mini Catalogue, Stampin' Up's Mini January-April catalog. So I will be showing you project and lots of other cards and things I've done with the Rain or Shine suite. In the description below will be links to all the other demonstrators that are participating this month. So if you go to the description of this video, you can click on the links to hop over to the other demonstrators and see what their favorite suites are from the mini catalog and learn how to make something really clever with the products from that suite. So I will also in the description list the products that I am showing you here. So if you wish to order them, you can contact your demonstrator. It will have the product code there. If you're in New Zealand and don't have a demonstrator, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you can contact me at michellekritchley.stampinup.net and order from me. If you live local to where I am in Tuakau, you're welcome to come to classes or other events that I hold locally. But if you're anywhere in New Zealand, you can order from me. If you're outside of New Zealand, you can go to stampinup.com and search for a demonstrator in the area you're at. Or if you click on the links for the other demonstrators, you might find one near you. So let's get looking at my favorite suite. So my favorite suite is the Rain or Shine suite. It's on page 50 of the mini Stampin' Up! Catalog, and that just shows some of the sample cards that the catalog people at Stampin' Up! Have created. And there's the suite there. So in this suite, there is the stamp set, Playing in the Rain. There's the dies that match the stamp set. So if you're not familiar, when you look at the catalog, if you've got areas that are like different color or kind of like highlighted in white, that shows that there's a die that cuts out those images. So for this stamp set, there are dies that cut out each of the three animals, the water, the little puddle there, the umbrella, the flowers, and the clouds. And the die will cut all three clouds. It's one stamp and it cuts three clouds in one go. But there are also extra dies to cut other things like some grass, there's a stump, there's a bridge, a kite, some butterflies, and I will be showing you a few of those. There in the suite, there's also a embossing folder that will emboss raindrops. There are these cute daisy embellishments. You get approximately 300 in different colors, yellows and whites. And then this really gorgeous specialty paper. The nice thing in the catalog, it tells you which colors are in the paper, the main colors that are in the paper. But this is a specialty designer series paper because one side of each sheet has got some shimmer on it. So let me show you that. It's so gorgeous. So I do have, there's the stamp set there. And then the dies. So with the dies, you get 15 dies. The card I'm going to do today, show you how to do. We're not using the dies, but I've got samples of other cards I've done that uses the dies. This one here, it does three little, looks like little bows, and that's for the string on the kite. But you can use them as bow ties. And the little butterflies will just cut outline shapes of butterflies. There's no stamp to match that. This one here is the inside of the kite. So if you want to have a different coloration on the kite, you can use that one there. And that there's two grass ones, that two different directions of grass, and all the other ones will cut out stamps. They also cut out some of the images from the designer series paper, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we have the lovely embossing folder that embosses raindrops. And here's the paper. So in this pack of paper, It's called the Rain or Shine 12 by 12 inch Specialty Designer Series paper. And let me just get it out for you. So with Stampin' Up! Paper, if you're not already familiar, there's two sides to it. So every sheet has two sides, and you get two of each sheet in your paper pack, usually. If you have a 6x6 pack, sometimes you get 4 of each sheet, and occasionally there's special like host packs that you get more than 2. So hopefully you can kind of see this. This is real lovely scene. It's good for making longer cards. It'd be great for a scrapbook page, 12 by 12 page. Now hopefully you can kind of see if I lift it up. See how the clouds shimmer a bit? So there's actually a bit of shimmer on those clouds. The other really cool thing with this is our cloud die will cut those clouds out. So cut around that section, put it through your cut and emboss machine, and you can end up with 3 clouds with that lovely shimmer. This also cuts the stamp. So if you want the shimmer on your stamp, I suggest using Versamark and embossing it. And then the other side is just some lovely yellow checks. Then the other, let's see, the other pieces, so you get 2 of those. And then the next one, we get all the cute little animals that are in the stamp set, along with some flowers. And again, hopefully you can see there, the water shimmering, and I don't know if you can catch the flower shimmering, and look, even the shell of the turtle shimmers. So every one has something on it that shimmers. There, it's the shimmering raincoat. These raindrops, even these little raindrops. Oh, let's get you in focus. There we go. The raindrops, can you see some of those shimmer as well? And everybody's little raincoats shimmer. So, and we have different colors of the different animals. And again, you get 2 sheets of that. This one's really wonderful because, you might have already guessed it, but the dies will cut these images as well. So those are the same size as the stamps. And you can use your dies to cut them out if you don't want to fussy cut. So you can cut those animals. So it cuts the 3 animals which match the stamps as well. Now the images on the front of here are only at 85%. If you look at your Stampin' Up! Front cover, it tells you if they're smaller than full size. So it says right there, they're at 85%. So they're actually much bigger inside. So be aware of that. You don't always see the right size image on the front, but you do get the right size inside. Now, so see this rabbit stamps with water, but the die for the rabbit cuts without the water. So you have that option. If you're going to die cut your rabbit, be aware that it does not cut the little puddle out. So if you are stamping and intend to die cut the rabbit, don't bother to color in the little puddle. There's lots of other puddles that you could cut out, fussy cut out to use. So on the back of that one, we have these lovely stripes. Now, it's got different shading on it. It's not just shadow in my room right now. It actually has some lighter and darker areas to it. It's really good for background pages. Then we have beautiful raindrops. Oh, let me put them the right way around. So we go from very stormy at the top to not so rainy at the bottom. And look at that shimmer. So all the raindrops have shimmering on them. So it's a bit different than our normal specialty paper. Specialty paper usually has maybe gold or silver shine to it, but this one has this really interesting shimmer. It's almost like they clear embossed the whole sheet. And then the back of that one, we have beautiful colors here. Now, I've mentioned in other videos, and I'll mention again here, and I showed you in the catalog, it does tell you on the back of the packaging what colors are in there. So here I can tell that's Flirty Flamingo and Mango Melody with those colors there. So we got the pink is Flirty Flamingo and Mango Melody at the bottom, and that just looks splattered. There's no shimmer on that, but it looks like it's been wet. Then there's another sheet of beautiful animals. So this time we've got a pig and a dog. This is the similar turtle. We have the similar turtle there, but we don't have the other two characters here. So we have a pig and a dog and clouds. And if you have a look, you can probably see, again, the rain shimmering and the clothes and some outline of the umbrella. So these guys are all taking shelter from the rain, except for our dog. Look, he likes the rain. He hasn't opened his umbrella, even though it's dripping all over him. And then the other side of that paper has got Raindrops in our lovely Flirty Flamingo and Mango Melody. So that's the back side of that. And then we have a different form of Raindrops. So we had that stormy one before, and now we have more shiny raindrops here, but that's like a really dark storm. So let me just show you the difference here. That was our light rain, going from heavy to light, and this one is all over with the grays, so it looks quite stormy. And you do have the shimmer on those raindrops there. It's quite a good background. And then the back of this one, we have some Flirty Flamingo with some little embellishment, like floral, fleur-de-lis kind of thing. And again, it's meant to look like that with those patchy bits. It's like the chic, rustic chic look. So we got some more solid areas and some more patchy areas, depending on how you'd like to use that. And then the last piece is umbrellas, and they're all different ways, so there's no real right way up with this one. And again, we have our specialty shimmering there. So look, all the umbrellas have a shimmer on them, and some of the rain does as well. Now, there's the little umbrella die for the umbrella stamp that cuts out the little tiny umbrella. So you can cut out a little umbrella on this. Looks like that umbrella is done in the Flirty Flamingo on the entire sheet. But the other ones have different colors, and you could fussy cut those if you want. And then the back side of this guy has got some beautiful flowers. So I think those are a mix of the Mango Melody, and it might have a bit of Cajun Craze in there. So that's the paper. And the other thing you get with this lovely suite are these daisy embellishments. Now, I've already used a lot. You get 300, so you get a lot more than what you see in here, but I've already used quite a bit. But as you can see, they're different sizes and different thicknesses as well. And as you can see, like there, I think they make them like in a roll and then just slice it up like you would slice, you know, bits of meat. And that's why you end up with different sizes and different thicknesses. Some of them are, let me see if I can, so that's super thin. That one on my finger is really thin. And then you get some thicker bits that are quite thick. So it's all different thicknesses and even different shapes, like that's different shape there. It's good for shaker cards, but also you can use it for just attaching to your cards. And it sticks quite easily with Tombow, with our liquid glue. You don't have to worry about trying to get a glue dot small enough to hold those in place. And I'll show you some samples where I've used that. But as you can see, it would go really well in a shaker card. So let's get started making a card, and then I'll show you all these fabulous samples of things. So I'll move those out of the way. Now with the card that I've decided to show you, it's a fairly quick and simple one. And there we go. And so this one is actually using some of those edge pieces that you get with your designer series paper. And I have a couple cards that I've used the edge pieces, so I can show you to get the most use out of your designer series paper. So that's from this sheet here with all the different animals. And you can see that there's a few pieces that are just slightly cut off on the edges. And I don't like to waste that. I mean, if I was doing like just a background piece, that's fine. But if I'm wanting to do highlight those specific characters, I like to use all the edge pieces. Like this one, of course, you wouldn't because you don't have a head. Sometimes the ones at the bottom will match up at the top, and you can put the two bits together. Like this guy here, you might be able to stick it with that piece there to make a whole turtle. But I'm going to show you how to just use sections of it. The other ones that we have, where's my other one? Bear with me for a second. There we go. And so like this big one here, we've got the fox and the turtle and the rabbit here. Now with these, the dies will cut them out. So that's what I did. So for this card, I fussy cut around. Just use my scissors and cut around that side piece. And I also cut around the clouds there because these clouds are smaller than the ones for the die. So I cut around those clouds there and simply stamped the words in Balmy blue. And then, I don't know if you can quite see, get the focus. Come on, focus. Yeah, it's not focusing. Okay, I'm trying to show you the shimmer on the, there we go. Oh, the shimmer on the DSP, and I did put some Wink Stella on my Raindrops. Oh, I'm going to get dizzy in a minute. Okay, sorry I can't show you that, but I put some Wink Stella on the Raindrops. So it's a cute card, fairly simple, easy to do, and then I just used an extra strip that I had left over from other cards of that big image of the meadow. So I'm going to do this slightly different, and at the end of this I will be showing you lots of other cards that you can make with this suite, as well as the back of a card I did that inspired the design for this card. So I'm going to change it up. This time we're going to do the Balmy blue base. So wherever you are, you're going to do a base card. Here in New Zealand, we cut an A4 card in half and then score it at the 10.5 section to fold it to create an A6 size card. And I'm just using a white, same size piece of white for the inside and the outside. That's at 10 centimeters by 14.3 if you're using metric. So I use the dies to die cut this little guy. And it's quite easy to do that, or you could use scissors to cut it out if you want it. But because there's a die for that, I've decided to use that guy. And I've gone with the same clouds. I've fussy cut around the clouds. And then here's a bit of puddle that, again, was at the side of the paper. So I'm going to use that, not wasting anything. And then for the inside of this one, I decided I was going just to do some little flowers. So I've cut some flowers for the inside. So let's get this card put together. So there's minimal stamping here, and I'm doing it in Balmy blue because that's just the nice, I think that's the nicest looking rain. And that's also the color in the background here is Balmy blue. So it matches with the designer series paper. So I got my raindrops. Now, tip for you. Raindrops have two directions. So that is the correct direction. Skinny at the top, big at the bottom, because the weight of the drop is going downward. So that gives it that image. Some people don't realize that and just stamp any old way. That is an upside down raindrop. So if you stamping that, it would be going up. But some people, doesn't matter. You can do what you want. Be as creative as you like. But just to let you know, that is the direction they're meant to be going. So I'm going to start, because I'm decided to have it towards the right, I'm going to put my words at that section, and I'm just going to eyeball about where I'm going to put my little bits before I stamp the water. That way I know how far down to do my raindrops. So if I move that up and just use the paper to eyeball right about there, I'll put my little flower where I want to stop. The bottom of my flower is about where I want to stop stamping. So first we'll put our words. Rainy days are better with you. I always turn over and check that I inked the whole thing because sometimes I miss it. When you ink on the spongy colored ink pads, just gentle. Just the weight of the block is all you really need. Do not push hard. You don't want to ink everywhere. But I always have the habit of turning it over just to check that it's where I want it to be. Straight down, no wobbling, and straight up. Now, my raindrops. So I want them to end there, but I don't want them to come above the clouds because the clouds is where they're coming from. So I'm not going to put a lot of raindrops on this one. So I really only want a couple sections of raindrops. And don't worry if you put them too high because you can always cover them up later. And then I might just put, where's my clouds going? Okay. The other thing with the raindrops is you can partially ink them. So if I just ink that section, so I've only inked one section, I didn't ink that one there, I can then come in and put some raindrops there. And not to worry because that cloud's going to cover up the top ones. So looking at my cloud, looking at my umbrella guy, maybe a couple right in that section there. So again, I'm just going to clean it off and I'm only going to aim for inking up those three there. So if I just simply only push those three on that side, I've got those three inked up, and I'm going to try to put those right there. There we go. I do feel like there should be one there. I'm one of those people that needs everything symmetrical. So I want one right there, so I'm going to ink up that little guy right on the edge, just that little guy there. And I'm just going to come in and put one there. All right. Now I like the look of that. If I come in here, even though those are kind of far down, I can always cover those up with my umbrella. And my clouds look a bit like it's coming in the right place. And I can put more water at the bottom. So that's looking good. I could have carried on with the raindrops, but with the umbrella there should be no rain below him. But you can do what you want. You could fill the whole page with raindrops if you'd like. So put the ink away before I stick something in it, like my hand. And then I'm going to, first I'm going to put my puddle at the bottom, the bit of liquid glue, a bit of Tombow. Come on, there's my Tombow. And the edge is not straight, so I'm going to put it slightly over the edge and then trim it off. And this, because it's a specialty paper, it's got shimmer on that little, you see the shimmer there? Then I'm just going to trim off the back of that little bit there, trim it away. And now glue on here. I'm using glue because one, there's lots of little tiny bits, so I can get in easier with the glue, as well as I want the wiggle room to wiggle it into place to make sure it covers any raindrops that I put where I didn't want them to be. Don't need a lot, just a little, spread it. I'm just using the nozzle now to help spread it out. And I'll pop him straight to the edge. And because I have the wiggle room, I can wiggle him right up to cover. So I had him down here, and you can just see that blue raindrop. So if I wiggle him right up, I can just wiggle him into place and then slide him over to the edge. Then check that he's nice and flat to my edge before I then press him down. Now if you're finding you're getting sticky fingers, you can use the back of your block to help press things down. That's why sometimes you see I have very sticky blocks, because I use the back of the block. The other thing you could use is your bone folder, which again, that's why my bone folder is very sticky. Don't worry about things getting all gunky with your glue, because you can easily clean them with hand sanitizer. I do have a video showing how to clean blocks and things. Also, wet wipes cleans it quite well. Now I'm going to put my clouds up on dimensionals. But if I'm doing any 3D items, meaning anything stuck up, I put the base down first, so that way I don't squish anything sticking up. And I always like to use the tear and tape for the base, because it's straight and you don't have to worry about wiggling it into place. And because it's just a big front, I just put tape on either side. Some people like to put a lot more tape on. You could do all 4 sides if you want. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, I do the tab. So I do a little tab at each side, so I can get perfect or near perfect placement. So the only part exposed are those 2 corners. So when I stick it down, I don't push on those 2 corners. I line up the corners that aren't sticky. So hopefully you can see I'm lining up the corners that aren't sticky, making sure there's an even amount on each side. When I'm happy with that, then I push on the sticky corners, and then I gently pull the paper up, and then that gives me perfect or near perfect placement. So now we'll pop up our clouds with dimensionals, and I like to use right up to the edges of the dimensionals, so I cut edges off. That way you get the most use out of it. And it's small clouds, don't need a lot on there. And just pop the clouds up. Again, I'm going to strategically cover some of those raindrops. Make it look like they're actually coming out of those clouds. There we go. So that's that part. And if you want to add some shimmer, you can come in with your Wink of Stella and just add a bit of shimmer onto your raindrops. So you can go through and add, if you want them to glisten a bit. Just come through. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the video, but basically I'm just painting those raindrops with a tiny bit of Wink of Stella. And oh, that one, oh, it's actually focusing this time, so you can kind of see they are shimmering a bit. It also darkens the ink a little bit, but it will lighten up. And so for the inside, I'm simply just going to put the flower. So because I'm not stamping, I'll go ahead and stick the inside down. If I were stamping, I stamp first before I stick things down, because there's 2 sides to every piece of paper, piece of cardstock. And if you stamp one side and you find that you didn't ink it up properly, or it's crooked, or you don't like, the placement, maybe you don't like the words, you can turn your paper over and stamp the other side. But I'm not going to stamp on the inside of this one. I'm going to leave it blank. I could stamp something. The only other words on this set are "Oh Happy Day." So we got "Rainy Days Are Better With You," and we have "Oh Happy Day," which, would work, I guess. So again, I've got my tabs, so I'm just gonna hold it down in the non-revealed corners, make sure I have a nice even section, and then push it down and pull it out. And now I'm just going to glue this guy in because he's got little bits and I want wiggle room. And then I'm going to show you all the other cards I've done. Now I do have some videos already made for some of the other cards I've done, so you can look in other videos, and I have some videos coming as well. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll be notified when the next videos come out, or you can also look to see any of the ones that I've already done. So just push that down there. So there we go. So fairly simple card, cute. I know there's a lot of white space, but it just kind of adds to that look. You could, in the background, I could have cut some of that rainy paper and then just put these guys on as well. That would work. So we got our shimmer, should have some shimmer in the clouds too. And then the shimmer here. And this one simply got the flowers. And the original one I did green because I had more green in the turtle. And then the flowers on the inside. So I hope you like that. Please give me a thumbs up. Now, let's look at all the other cool things I made with this suite. And don't forget to click on the links below to go look at some other people's cards or projects. They might have made something other than cards. So this one's a fairly simple one. I did this at my uplines, a class at my uplines house. That's Stamping the Rabbit. Colored it in, and the rain was stamped in black. So that was just the Memento black ink, and colored that with Stampin' Blends. And this is actually half of a 12 by 12 sheet of designer series paper. So the card itself is mainly paper, and then there's just this backing here with a bit of sponged color to give us that look. So that lets you enjoy both sides of the paper. So if you have some designer series paper you like, that's a good card to show off both sides of it. I'll move these guys over. Then this one, I love the bunny. So this time I stamped, colored, and die cut the bunny. So you see it cuts out the water. The top part is from the Specialty Designer Series paper. I stamped right onto the paper, and then I stamped in pumpkin pie, just the word carrots, and cut it out. This bottom paper is from the Sale-A-Bration. It's free designer series paper from the Sale-A-Bration. That's only available till the end of February. And let me see what the name is. Okay, so here's our Sale-A-Bration paper. And that one also uses the stamp set for the carrots. That's a free stamp set in Sale-A-Bration. So we got the Thanks a Bunch stamp set. That's where I got the Everything's Coming Up carrots. And then I stamped this little section of carrots in the pumpkin pie. And then I just fussy cut a whole bunch of little carrots. So I just cut them to fit into the designer series paper. And the paper I'm referring to is on page 8. And it's the Day at the Farm paper. So one side of the paper has what looks like fields on it. Let me go grab it and show it to you because you can't see it very well in this brochure. So that's the piece I used, and it also has trees and things. So there's lots of different images in this paper here. It's 12 by 12 inches, and it also coordinates with the On the Farm bundle. So what I did with that is I found one of the images I liked, one of the fields here, that section there, and then I just cut it out. I cut it out wide enough to fit the bottom of my card. And then I just put little carrots, and the bit on the paper looks like the top of the carrots. So that's where this card came. And then I just stamped on the inside from that same Thanks a Bunch stamp set. Then here we go. That's using one of the specialty papers, so you can see it's shining. And I used edge pieces again. So both of these turtles were on the edge of the paper. Let me see if I can find it. So this turtle here, he's missing the bottom part. So I used him there. And then the other turtle was from, hold on a minute. There we go. And then this turtle here is right there. So he's missing part of his umbrella. So those are not complete images. And then I cut out a yellow umbrella from the turtle at the bottom who's missing most of it. So I just cut the top of that umbrella to make it look like it's complete, to give it a 3D effect. And the same with those clouds. Those clouds were on the edge of the paper, and they're not complete. So again, we took advantage of that. This die here is it's the circle dies here in the Picture This die set. So you get rectangles or circles. So it cuts them all out in one go. So I cut them all out, and then I just traced around on the background, so I knew where my images would go, and these are all glued in from the paper. Even the flowers here is from the edge of the paper. It's not complete. And this is just a bit of, I just put a cloud up there and used part of it there to put the rainy days. And it shimmers because it's the specialty paper. And I cut those two bits apart. Rainy days are better with you. And then for the inside, that's the embossed raindrops. So I embossed the raindrops there, and then I sponged it with a bit of Balmy blue to get the lights, get them to show up. And again, use the edge of the designer series paper. So that's one of the umbrellas from the edge of the paper. So I cut it, and it doesn't matter that it was already cut off. Then there's more. Stay tuned. So here's another one. The images in the center were ones that were not complete on the designer series paper. I used the die to cut out the fox from the designer series paper, and there's the umbrellas in the background. This is using the Give It a Whirl dies that have this different parts to the dies to cut out the different sections. So, one part cuts the outline section and has a little circle, little hole there, so you can place it a brad through there to do your images. And then if you can cut a wheel, it has clouds that you can cut out, and then you have different shapes. So you can do like sort of a triangular shape to have the peek through window. You could have a circle peek through, or a heart peek through, or a rectangle peek through. And then there's little arrows. This is in the main catalog. So I use that, and in the background you can see I use some of the other specialty designer series paper. And so as you spin it, you see the other characters showing up. So there's the dog, and then there's the turtle. Again, same turtle as before, so he's not a complete turtle. And then there's the pig, and that's not the complete pig. But when I did this one, I quite like how the paper happened to come out. So when you set it this way, see the dog? It almost looks like the drip's carrying on from the center to his hand. That was just a fluke, but I think it looks quite good. So another thing you can do, for each of the sections inside, when you use the die for the center part on this set, it comes with other things like stars. When you use this die, it gives an impression when it goes through. So it almost sort of embosses each of those sections. So when you stick things on, you can see straight away where to either stamp or, in this case, glue the different sections of the designer series paper. So that's another one. And there's more. So here we go. Again with the bunny. This one's showing the kite. And, oh, I forgot to mention. This one here, see his bow tie? That's the bow from the kite. So here's the kite. It cuts out 3 of the colors. I cut out different colors in the blues and the pinks and yellows. Did my bunny. His raincoat is shiny because what I did afterwards is I took one of my blend water painters, and I just painted a bit of Versamark on there and sprinkled clear embossing powder on to make it shiny. And there are those flowers stuck down just with a tiny bit of Tombow liquid glue. The clouds stamped and die cut, and then if you pull this, There goes the kite, and it says, "Oh, happy day." Now, this was a remake of one that I've done a video already last month. I did the video with the adorable owls, showing how to do this technique here. So if you have a look at that, you'll see how to do this. I did stabilize it by putting an entire piece of window sheet here. So if you have a look at the other video, instead of only window sheet at the edge to hold this down, I did a window sheet piece that went the whole way and glued the paper straight to it, so it makes it more stable. So there's our little bunny with his kite. And then on the inside, we've got the little turtle having a look because he's got the same little flower. And now we get into some more. So here I've used the umbrella paper at the bottom. The back, I've got the turtle, and yes, you guessed it, it's one of those that didn't have a bottom to it. So it's the end, even the edge there where the flowers cut off. I take full advantage of that. So that's the designer series paper covered up with a little scrap of paper there. And this is a pop-up card. So you open it like that, and it pops up. So it folds flat for posting. And so I've got the flower designer series paper at the bottom, some words. There's a couple of the images. These two were die cut using the dies. These were fussy cut, including the dog at the background. And so depending on which way you turn your card, you get a different look in the background. And then to stabilize it, I put the blue, Balmy blue strips, and then I just put the flowers on top of it and then put some flowers there. I did a card like this years ago with the Christmas one, so if you want to see how to make this type of card, look in my old videos. I think it's 2 years or more, and I think it's called Signs of Santa. So it will have the dimensions on how to do this card. And see the raindrops in the background? That was actually embossed onto vellum. And then I sponged the back to give it a bit of blue and then put it on the blue background. So the video doesn't quite give this justice. And then, yeah, I stamped and die cut one of the umbrellas and put it into the rabbit's arms. So you just fold it flat and it fits in an envelope. Let's see if you can have that. Might be able to see it there. And then there's more. So here's another one. This is using that paper on the side. This is using a lot of the die cuts. So we've got the grass on the edge with some flowers. We've got the stump here. I put a bit of ink on the die before I ran it through, so it pressed the ink into the embossed section. There's the bridge here. You could call this a bridge card because it's holding the two sides. The center is a window sheet, and hopefully you can see I embossed the window sheet with the rainbow embossing folder, and that's holding the two sides together. It's hidden behind the designer series paper. Stamped and white embossed the clouds, fussy cut the words out. When you open that up, so you don't see anything there because it's all hidden behind the designer series paper. And here's the inside. Everything's been colored with blends and die cut. And then that opens up again, and here stamped and colored. So that's like a double card. I will be doing a video on how to do this card in the coming month, so make sure you subscribe and you'll be notified when that video is available. And lucky last is my biggest one. So here we go. Again, a scene with all the characters. This was a die cut from the pig, birthday pig set that was available end of last year. I don't know that that die is still available, as well as the die, the grass here was from that die. But the background is the flower designer series paper. These were all stamped in the old olive, and then I colored, and then I even colored around the background that was stamped on white to make it match there. We've got our turtle die cut. These butterflies, I believe, are from that pig set. And then when you open it up, there you go. Hopefully you can see that. So we've got the bridge with the, oh, gotta pull them out, with our dog. And there, hopefully you can see that kite. The kite with the little bows comes out from the side. We have some flowers in the background there. We have our fox here. There's our stump with the birds. I think the bird was from that set as well. And again, some of the flowers. And here's our kite. And this kite, I reversed it. So the kite normally goes that direction. So for here, I just turned it over because I die cut it on a cardstock. So I turned it the other way to let it look that way. And this one, I cut the bottom of the kite off so I could have the string and able to open and close it. And so even looking down, you can see the paper goes all the way to the bottom. So that's my biggest piece so far. I've got it up on some foam strips, so you can see all the different sections. I did a similar card a couple of years ago with the chicken. I'm not sure if I did a video on that. I might have just had a sneak preview video of that. But I believe they sometimes call this a Z fold or a double Z fold. But I haven't done a video on this, and I'm not sure whether I will because it was a labor of love. A lot of hours were put into doing this. I even shaped over the flowers as I cut them to fit on the bottom section. And this, I finished the card and realized there's nowhere on there for you to write. I didn't even put a sentiment on there. And I thought, okay, well, you write on the back. That's what you normally do. So after I made the card, I did that. Does that look familiar? So that was an afterthought, which spawned the idea of that card there. So that's the pig edge from the paper. I did that just to have something on the back of the card for somebody to write. And when I showed some fellow demonstrators, they said they really liked the look of that. So that's why I decided to make these cards here. So hopefully you enjoyed that. You can see that I really love this suite. This is the Rain or Shine suite from the Mini Catalogue. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It's on page 50 and 51 of the Mini Catalogue. So I will have in the link, the links below of all the other ones doing the video hop, as well as the products that I've used in here. Most of them I've used stamping blends. There's a few I've used the watercolor pencils. But I hope you like that, and I'd love to hear in the comments which is your favorite card. Because every card I do, I think I love it, and then I do another one, and I'm probably going to have even more cards. So make sure you have a look at my blog for ideas. I will be posting photos of all these there as well, so you can have a closer look at them. Thanks so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.